For the last 50 years, the global economy has run on a single, undeniable truth. Saudi Arabia produces oil. Lots of it. They are the undisputed kings of crude, the central bank of the world's most important commodity. Their entire national identity, their immense wealth, their geopolitical power. It all comes from the black liquid they pump out of the desert. So in late 2025, when Saudi Aramco quietly announced they were launching a new $100 billion energy megaproject in the middle of the desert, the world assumed it was for oil. But it was not. This project, a sprawling industrial city rising from the sand, is designed to extract something else entirely, something the kingdom has until now mostly ignored: natural gas. This is the Jafurah gas project, the largest and most expensive bet in Saudi Arabia's history. And it raises a fascinating question. Why would the king of oil suddenly spend $100 billion to become a prince of gas? The answer is a paradox. Saudi Arabia is not launching this project to sell gas to the world. They are launching it so they can sell more oil. This is the story of the Jafurah gas megaproject, and why it is the most important energy project you have never heard of. To understand this $100 billion gamble, you have to understand Saudi Arabia's dirty little secret. While they export billions of barrels of high-quality crude oil to the rest of the world, at home, they burn it. A lot of it. Every single day, Saudi Arabia burns hundreds of thousands of barrels of its own crude oil just to generate electricity. It is one of the only major countries in the world to do this on a massive scale. Think about how insane that is. It is like a Michelin star chef eating instant noodles for dinner every night. They are using their most valuable premium export product for a low-value domestic task. For decades, this was not a problem. Oil was plentiful and domestic demand was manageable. But as the Saudi population grew, as cities like Riyadh and Jeddah exploded in size, and as demand for air conditioning in the scorching desert heat skyrocketed, the problem became a crisis. By the mid-2020s, Saudi Arabia was burning nearly 1 million barrels of oil per day during the summer months, just to keep the lights on. That is 1 million barrels a day that they could have been selling on the international market for $100 a barrel. It was a colossal waste of money, a massive source of pollution, and a direct threat to the long-term stability of the kingdom's finances. They needed a replacement, a cheaper, cleaner, and more efficient fuel to power their own country, so they could free up every last drop of oil for export. They needed gas. There was just one problem. While Saudi Arabia has some of the largest conventional gas reserves in the world, they are mostly associated gas that is trapped in the same reservoirs as oil. To get the gas, you have to produce the oil. This meant their gas production was directly tied to their oil production, which is dictated by OPEC quotas and global demand. They couldn't just ramp up gas production without also flooding the world with oil and crashing the price. They needed a source of non-associated gas, a field that was independent of their oil operations. For years they searched, and for years they came up empty-handed. But then, the shale revolution happened in the United States. American engineers had figured out how to use a combination of horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing to unlock massive amounts of natural gas trapped in tight shale rock formations. It was a technological breakthrough that completely reshaped the global energy landscape, and it gave the Saudis an idea. They knew they had similar shale formations in their own vast deserts. The largest of these was the Jafurah Basin, a massive geological formation located east of the giant Ghawar oil field. The problem was the gas was locked away in what geologists call unconventional reservoirs. It was difficult and expensive to extract. It would require the same advanced, American-style technology that had been perfected in the shale fields of Texas and Pennsylvania. For a country that had built its empire on easy-to-drill conventional oil, this was a whole new world. For years, the Jafurah field was considered too difficult, too expensive, and too risky. But as the domestic oil burning problem grew worse, the calculation began to change. In 2020, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman gave the green light. Saudi Aramco, the state-owned oil giant, would lead the charge. They announced a staggering investment of $100 billion to develop the Jafurah field, making it the single largest investment in the history of the company. The goal was ambitious, to produce over 2 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day by 2030, enough to replace all the crude oil currently being burned for electricity. The shale revolution was officially coming to the Arabian desert. The scale of the Jafurah project is hard to grasp. It is not just a gas field, it is an entire industrial ecosystem being built from scratch in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The project involves drilling thousands of horizontal wells, each stretching for several kilometers underground. It requires construction of a massive gas processing plant, a network of pipelines stretching for hundreds of kilometers, and infrastructure to handle the vast quantities of water needed for hydraulic fracturing. To pull this off, Aramco partnered with international energy giants like SLB, Halliburton, and Baker Hughes, bringing in the world's leading experts in shale gas technology. The project is a testament to modern engineering, a fusion of Saudi ambition and American ingenuity. But here's the most interesting part. The Jafurah field is not just rich in natural gas. It is also rich in natural gas liquids and condensate, a type of ultra-light, high-value crude oil. This is the secret weapon of the project. While the primary goal is to produce gas for the domestic market, the sale of these valuable liquids on the international market helps to offset the massive cost of the project. In fact, the very first exports from Jafurah, which began in early 2026, were not gas, but condensate. This dual revenue stream is what makes the project economically viable. It is a clever piece of financial engineering that allows Saudi Arabia to solve its domestic energy problem, while simultaneously creating a new high-value export product. So, what does this all mean? The Jafurah project is more than just a solution to an energy problem. It is a fundamental shift in Saudi Arabia's role in the world. For the first time, Saudi Arabia is on the verge of becoming a major player in the global gas market. While the initial production is for domestic use, the long-term plan is to become a major exporter of liquefied natural gas, LNG. This puts them in direct competition with countries like Qatar, Australia, and the United States. It is a bold move that diversifies their energy portfolio and gives them a powerful new tool in the great game of global energy politics. And it all comes back to the central paradox. By investing $100 billion to get off their own oil addiction, Saudi Arabia is freeing up hundreds of thousands of barrels of crude oil per day. At a time when the world is trying to transition away from fossil fuels, Saudi Arabia is doubling down. They are positioning themselves to be the last man standing in the oil market, the low-cost producer that can continue to supply the world with oil for decades to come. The Jafurah project is not a move away from oil. It is a move to protect the future of oil. It is a $100 billion insurance policy for the kingdom's most valuable asset. So the next time you hear about Saudi Arabia and its massive oil reserves, remember the Jafurah project. Remember the sprawling industrial city in the desert, the thousands of wells, and a $100 billion gamble. Because the real story of Saudi energy is no longer just about oil. It is about the clever, strategic, and ruthless game they are playing to ensure their dominance for the next 100 years. And the Jafurah gas project is their winning move. The project is also a key pillar of Vision 2030, the kingdom's ambitious plan to diversify its economy away from oil. The gas from Jafurah will not only power homes and businesses, but also fuel a new wave of industrialization, particularly in the petrochemical sector. By using its own gas as a feedstock, Saudi Arabia can move up the value chain, transforming raw materials into higher-value products like plastics, fertilizers, and other chemicals. This creates a more resilient and diversified economy, less vulnerable to the volatile swings of the global oil market. It is a long-term play, a strategic pivot from simply exporting raw resources to becoming a global industrial powerhouse. The Jafurah project is, in essence, the engine for this transformation. A $100 billion bet on a future that is not just powered by oil, but built on it.